everybody. Welcome back to yet another episode of Dayton Drama Queens. I know a lot of you have been writing in and asking about how things are going for Philip with Big Gay Jamboree in New York. The reviews have been amazing. Unfortunately, that keeps him away from us again for one more series. We think he'll be back for the next round for interviews. So, Philip, wherever you are, we're missing you. We love you. And congratulations on your amazing premiere at the Orpheum Theater. Today, we have something really exciting going on. It's kind of appropriate for the season as we're in October right now. We have Darren Brown with us. Darren, welcome, welcome. Darren is well known for his touring with Rocky Horror Picture Show, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Born and raised right here in Dayton, lived in Beaver Creek.
Yeah.
It's exciting to have you here. So Darren, tell us a little bit about your background. How did this all get started? Where'd you go to school? All those good things.
Yeah. It's kind of wild. I realized this year that I have now been doing Rocky Horror for 20 years.
20
which
years.
is like
My God, you don't even look 20 years old. When did you start? When you were 2?
Thank you. It's because I shaved the beard when the beard's on.
There you go. There you go.
Rocky is something that I kind of stumbled my way into, which honestly most of the things I do in life are things I stumbled my way into.
Great, right?
Yeah,
Authentic.
Born and raised in Dayton. I grew up in Beaver Creek, did the whole Catholic school spiel, and then I actually wanted to go away for college. So I went to Ohio University freshman year, and that's where I discovered Rocky freshman year.
Yes, perfect.
Transition was hard to college freshman year. I was like super rah at Carroll High School, and then like got to a big school, and I was like, oh my God, this is so much. But I found this Rocky troupe, and they cast me, and it was their first kind of, actually it was their second year, first foray kind of in starting this new thing. They were performing Rocky at a bar.
Okay.
And typically you see Rocky Horror in the movie theater, that kind of thing. They were taking that experience and putting it in a dingy dive bar.
That's fun.
So I did that, and that was like the thing that kept me going that year. And after that year at OU, I came back to Dayton, needed a reset, and I wound up at UD the next year.
Okay. To go to school.
Gotcha, so I'm a proud Dayton Flyer. That's where I graduated from.
Go Dayton Flyers. Yeah.
But what resulted was I had so many positive memories from doing Rocky at the Union at OU.
Okay.
We would go back every year and take a trip.
Oh, fun.
And so we'd get in the car and go every October. And then I remember sitting in my house on campus in the student neighborhood, summer between senior and fifth year, and I was just like, I'm just going to freaking start this here. I miss it.
Yeah.
And Tim's Bar down the road.
We all know Tim's.
We know
Legendary.
I was just in there last night. We were running a rehearsal. My feet were sticking to the floor.
Yes.
So don't worry. They haven't mopped the floors since you've been there.
It's so gross, but it's perfect.
And they have a pole. And I was just like, this is where it has to happen.
Yes.
So I reached out to my friend Katie and I said, hey, will you produce Rocky Horror Picture Show with me at Tim's? And she was like, hell yeah.
So now what role did you play in the show?
Yeah, so that year, at OU, I played Riff Raff.
Okay.
Which I love Riff Raff.
Yeah, Riff Raff's great. That's a great part, yes.
And then when I started at Tim's at UD, I played Frank. So I produced it, directed it, co-directed with Katie, and then played Frank.
So you have like a lot of return people that, like here in Dayton, or is there a set group of cast members that just show up, or is it different every time? Or?
Yeah, so what started as kind of a one-off, the idea was just we want to do this show because I missed it.
Yeah.
And then I graduated and went away.
Okay.
And it is just, the little engine that could, and it hasn't stopped for 17 years.
I love that.
So I've been doing Rocky for 20 years since OU, and then our troupe called Dayton's Annual Transylvanian Convention. Why I picked the wordiest possible troupe name.
I was going to say it again. Dayton's Annual Transylvanian Convention.
Right. We just call it Dayton Rocky, which I'm
That's fun. That's a lot easier. It's a lot easier.
I brought you one of our stickers.
Yes, you did.
So that's the logo with the
I love it.
Lots of wordiness, and then just the hashtag Dayton Rocky at the bottom.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
All Rocky troops have like a name, and in the time warp, there's a banner that says the Annual Transylvanian Convention.
Yes, right.
So we are Dayton's annual.
I get it now.
So this year we're
it all
Dayton's
comes together. Yes.
17th Annual Transylvanian Convention.
So this is like, this happens in other cities.
So our production is Dayton specific, but Rocky happens everywhere. It's a global phenomenon. It's been going on for 49 years. They were just touring like an official shadow cast.
Okay.
This year, it came and played at the Victoria, and Barry Bostwick was there.
Yes.
Little Nell's been out on the road at some places. And then, of course, Dayton has a history of Rocky at one point it played at the Neon.
The Neon forever. Yes.
Then it was at Page Manor when I was growing up in high school. And then it kind of left and moved to Middletown.
Yeah.
Was the Dayton Affair, was sister troupe to Cincinnati's Denton Affair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it kind of dissolved. So when we came in, it was kind of good timing. We were the only, kids in town
Yeah.
But what's been exciting, we produce our own show every year, and I know I'm jumping around.
No, that's okay. Believe me, we have a lot of ADHD in this group, so it's all good.
You're kidding me, especially during Rocky season.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I tell people, so Rocky season for me starts in August. We hold auditions for the show, and then it'll end like second week of November after we conclude the show. We do the show first week of November every year, so it follows spooky season.
Yeah. Perfect.
At Timothy's. So if you can make it this year, come on out. If you can't make it this year, we'll be there next year.
Yeah. And it's like the first weekend in November. Is that how?
First weekend of November.
Out?
Yeah, we do a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
But I always tell people, like, when you're talking to accountants, and they're in the midst of like tax season,
yes,
and you're like, for 2 or 3 months, you're just off the rails.
Right.
That's Rocky season for me.
Yeah.
It is just nonstop chaos.
But how fun, because it's obviously your passion.
I love it.
You found your passion. You found your thing in life. And so do you reside in Dayton throughout the year, or you live somewhere else as well?
Yeah. So I live in Chicago these days. So I decided to sport. I got my Chicago Handshake shirt.
Which is?
The Chicago Handshake is a... I have to turn around for this.
Yes. I love it. Yes,
Chicago Handshake is our homegrown Boilermaker. So it is a shot of Malort and an old style beer.
Yeah.
Malort's disgusting. If you've never had it, do yourself a favor and avoid it.
Well,
or have a shot. Have some fun, live a little. As we say in Rocky, risk it.
Yeah, risk it, exactly.
So, and then I got my Dayton gear. So I love Chicago. It's the capital of the Midwest. I think it's the best city in the country.
Yes.
But Dayton is my home of homes.
Okay.
So it's like, Chicago's the best city. Yeah. Dayton's my favorite.
And it's 4.5 hours, 5 hours away.
Yeah, 5 hours.
You're right here, so.
And I intentionally moved to Chicago. I did grad school out in Connecticut, got my MFA in acting after living downtown here, post-grad for a number of years and getting involved in the arts. Yeah. And I didn't want to settle in New York. I wanted to stay Midwest. And Rocky has been this kind of like tether that is a great excuse to come back every fall. I have a homegrown show. Yeah. So students still perform it every year. So
from UD.
Yeah.
UD kids.
So it's an independent company.
Okay.
We're our own entity. We're not affiliated with the university in any way, shape, or form. I view us now as kind of an arts collective.
Okay.
At this point, Josh, we have pushing 300 alumni at this point that have come through the troupe.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it's great. And we do a reunion show. The Saturday show every year is the alumni show.
So anybody that's been can come back for one night.
And we started it with the 10-year anniversary.
That's awesome.
So, oh my gosh, my brain is going 1,000
That's all right. That's all right.
In 2017,
yes,
I finished grad school.
Got it.
And that was the 10-year anniversary of the troupe.
Okay.
That I never thought was going to last more than a year.
Yeah.
And so we're all talking and we're like, well, we got to do something. So we hosted a big alumni reunion, and I treated that as my first like kind of gig post-grad. Came back to Dayton, ended up booking a couple shows with some other up-and-coming theater companies, but pretty sure you're going to be doing a session with TheatreLab.
Yes, TheatreLab.
In the coming
They're
days.
Up next, actually, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that because I came back and did a show with Dare to Defy.
Okay, yeah.
Which was their...
What show did you do? That was right before I was involved in TheatreLab. So
I played Uncle Ernie and Tommy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tommy got great little raves around this town.
Yeah,
I bet.
And I helped build the set as the technical director, and then I performed in it, and then I also did a show with the Playground at that time.
Okay, yeah.
And I had history with those groups back when I was living in Dayton between 2010 and 2014 downtown. You know, all the folks that started Dare to Defy, now TheatreLab, I was into the woods with them and Playhouse South and all this other stuff.
Right.
But
so that goes to what we say every time on this show. Dayton's arts are unbelievable for the size of the city. It's unbelievable. So yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're doing the show, Timothy. You live in Chicago.
Yeah.
When you're in Chicago, are you doing the Rocky Horror in Chicago, or you do other things? Do you audition for stuff? What goes on up there?
Yeah, so I don't do Rocky in Chicago. I don't
Okay.
perform in it or produce Rocky in Chicago.
Okay.
Mainly because I know I am such a snob when it comes to Rocky after all these years. You know, it's like
you got it.
oh my, there's a way I like to do it, and
right.
And we can get into that, but there's a shadow cast that performs at, it's called the Music Box Theater. It's a cinema up there.
People, we know that Music
the
Box Theater. Yeah,
I'm sure Jonathan
incredible.
McNeil.
Jonathan
and the folks at
McNeil
the
knows
Neon
all. Yeah, of course.
Would they do Rocky? So I actually have tickets for next week.
Okay.
To go see the Halloween show, and I take people to that, and you know, I do things like Pride with Rocky groups and stuff. Like Chicago is a great.
Is it hard not to
Pride
critique it? Are you just sitting back going, I wouldn't necessarily do that kind of thing?
I've come to accept that our show, the way we do it, is unique, and that loop this back in. We talked about Rocky being a global phenomenon, right? It's been around for 49 years.
Right.
There's no right or wrong way
I
to
was
do
going to
it.
say exactly. It's all interpretation.
And Rocky Horror Picture Show is America's Bacchanalia or Carnival.
Listen to you,
It is the most culturally accepted taboo that we have. The stuff that goes on in Rocky Horror Picture Show couldn't fly in public in the 70s, couldn't fly in public in the 80s, 90s, even right now where we've kind of had this pendulum swing and we are so much more hypersensitive about things as we grow and progress as a society. There are now things in Rocky that used to be almost kind of like liberal that now feel conservative.
Right.
And yet they're still part of that culture because it's multi-generational and there's this like tradition woven in, and yet the callback culture that's a part of it is reactive and fluid, and it can comment on whatever social moment we're in at any time.
It's true. It's interesting too, because if you are to talk to young people who are involved in Rocky, their thing is saying, you know, this is the door that opened into me figuring out who I am. So it almost has this internal kind of thing that goes on for people as well.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
It is.
It's powerful.
It's transformative.
It really transformative.
Yeah.
Perfect word for it. So in Chicago, so you're still doing shows in Chicago as well? I mean.
Yeah, so I do a little bit of everything. You know, I have my MFA in acting, and that's my background. I also have a background in puppetry, which I got started with that in Dayton with the Zoot Theater Company.
That's right.
If anyone knows Zoot, Tristan Cupp, what an artistic genius.
That talent
that man
is unbelievable. Yes.
And gosh, we were so lucky. The years I was involved with Zoot happened to be the 2 years where they were headquartered at the Dayton Art Institute.
Okay, yeah.
And they had a main stage at the NCR Theater there. We just got to do so much cool stuff.
Oh, they did that really cool Holocaust thing there. That was
I was in that.
Yes,
a child shall lead.
And the child shall lead, which was
I'm getting goosebumps,
I got goosebumps
right now.
That was unbelievable. I've never gotten over that. So.
It's one of the most incredible pieces of storytelling I've ever been a part of, and it's funny we're talking about puppetry because there's three things that my friends in Chicago will react and be like, oh, here he goes again, right? 3 topics. Number 1 is Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
If you've ever seen that meme with like Vince Vaughn where he's like shouting and it's like nobody, blank, nobody, blank, nobody. And then it's like an overly dramatic statement. My friends memed me and they were like, Dayton, Ohio is the greatest city on the entire planet.
You got that right.
And it's because I'm always talking it up.
Yes. Yeah, I'm same.
Emily and Cabby
from That's Human Race.
Yes, when I was listening to their interview that you did with them recently, because they've had arts experiences elsewhere and then came either back to Dayton or to Dayton.
Yeah.
They talked about it in the same visceral way I've experienced it and talked about it. Of just people don't realize how potent it is in this town.
I'm telling you.
The amount of arts we have in a city our size is unparalleled. There's nowhere else in the entire freaking country that has
How
this.
often do I say this to our people? I'm serious. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's really unbelievable. Before we even move on from that too, speaking of potent, the shoes.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, I figured if you're going to do a Rocky Horror podcast, you got to bust them out.
They're beautiful. They're fabulous. And you've been part of Masquerade, which I know many of you are mourning Masquerade and what's happened to our fabulous party here in Dayton.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your experience with Masquerade here in Dayton.
It's kind of part of this same woven fabric of tradition of I graduated from UD, then I went to Chicago, did a year of domestic service, like through AmeriCorps.
Yeah.
Then I came back and intended to leave, and then Dayton Theater sucked me in. I got involved with Playhouse South, and I was doing stuff at La Comedia, and then I was just here, and then because Rocky was continuing, I was involved in that. And so just being involved in the theater scene, I stumbled my way into Masquerade.
Yes, fun.
And because of Rocky, I connected with Lisa Grigsby in some way, or
Listen,
maybe it was
that
Alison
woman,
Brown.
I was in a meeting with her last night. That woman is unbelievable about putting things together and making them go. Yeah.
She is a tinkerer for sure. Yes.
Well, that's great.
So I looped in and we performed at Masquerade for the first time in 2011.
Yep.
And it just became this thing, and we became the closing act. We'd close with the time warp, and over the years, we got more elaborate. Yeah. And we, like last year, which RIP, Masquerade, we loved it, we did a whole, like, mashup musical. The theme was Greek gods and goddesses. Yeah. And we did Rockules, and it was a mashup between Disney's Hercules.
Oh, my God.
And, like, Frankenfurter was Frankenzeus.
And
that's
fun.
Eddie was Hades, and we did all the numbers.
That's fun.
And we basically take a week, and I do a crash course of essentially devised theater training with the students. Yeah. So all throughout the season, they're rehearsing for this show, and then we take time off to do Masquerade. With that gone now, one of the things that alumni's favorite thing from their time in the troupe is, of course, doing the show at Tim's. But their second favorite, almost universally, if they performed in it, was doing Masquerade.
That was a ball.
So I know, literally.
Yeah, it really was
a ball. It literally was a ball. And
that's funny.
It's just so valuable from my perspective, kind of captaining the great ship Dayton Rocky still. Yeah. I know how valuable it is to get the students out of the UD bubble, get them into downtown, and experience what we know viscerally about how much stuff is happening here. And get them
growing every day
around other working professionals and groups like the RubiGirls, or there's so much burlesque in this town now.
Yes,
and for a long time we had an incredible drag scene.
Yes.
And so our solution to this year, I've been working with an alumni from our troupe.
All right.
Jada Brown. Okay. You may know her as Indica Blows.
Indica Blows, yes.
Emerging drag artist throughout the region. Well, she's an alumni of our troupe. She did in 2018 to 2021.
Okay.
And so we're co-producing basically like a drag brunch over at Yellow Cab this week. And so that's why
Glad you brought that back around. Yes. It's important.
And we have several headliners joining us. So Amaya Sexton's going to be there.
God, love her.
Amanda Punch.
It's okay, Amanda Punchfuck. Yeah, Amanda Sue, whatever she goes by. She's done Ruby stuff with us before as well. So.
I used to go to MJ's every Thursday and do musical theater karaoke.
Oh, yeah.
Back when I was doing theater, and Nick was the DJ then.
He's something else. He is something. Another one of those forces to be reckoned with. Yeah, for
sure. And then Mayor Embry.
Nah,
she's a burlesque artist. You might have heard of Dirty Words.
Yeah, I think I have, actually.
Yes, that's kind of like an offshoot of what she does. And then she produced an immersive theater experience just this past March, I believe, called Welcome to the Bonton Hotel. Fun. That was out in Fairborn. And it was an immersive theater experience that told the story of this, I think her name's Elizabeth. I hope I got that right, Mayor. She was a madam that ran a brothel in Dayton.
In Dayton, Ohio. Yeah, that story is pretty known. So that's kind of cool that it's going to come to life in that way. That's awesome.
So these three artists, and then Indica is emceeing. So we have these 4 headliners. Yeah. And then we'll throw some of the Rocky kids in there, give them...
It's a party.
We're trying to make a party.
That's
and
great.
Fill the void.
You will.
For Masquerade.
Great. Well, there is a lot going on in your life. There's a lot going on in Dayton, as we talked about today. I do want to make sure that I thank Square One Salon for sponsoring us today. Darren Brown, everybody, look him up. You're on Instagram, Facebook, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, you can follow me personally if you'd like, but the biggest takeaway is just follow Dayton Rocky. We'd love to have you out at the shows. The Wednesday shows are typically our local show. You can hear the movie better.
Yeah.
And it's
got it.
less
Yes, I got
chaotic.
you. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And come talk to me about Rocky some other time because I could go on for another hour. It's the greatest thing.
Thank you all so much for, again, watching DDQ. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.